The IPCC report leaves no room for doubt. Global warming is a fact. And human activity, including the burning of fossil fuels, industrial emissions, and deforestation, are the main cause of climate change and its most dangerous side effects. The main issue with burning fossil fuels is the release of greenhouse gases.
The dramatic rise in greenhouse gases over the last 250 years, particularly carbon dioxide, has caused temperatures to rise across the globe, and this warming is predicted to accelerate at an alarming and dangerous pace. Dangerous atmospheric changes, already observed and measured, will continue for decades to come.
Changes in precipitation patterns will intensify drought in some areas and activate flooding in others. As the world's glaciers disappear and oceans heat up, global sea levels may rise between 18 to 59 centimetres by the end of the century. There are 57 power stations currently supplying energy to 26 million homes in the UK right now. Energy production releases more carbon dioxide than industry and transport combined.
This may seem all doom and gloom, but there are some new and exciting technologies and projects that could reduce the UK's carbon emissions. In fact,
the UK is committed to cutting CO2 emissions by 72% by the year 2050.
Firstly, some projects are aiming to reduce the amount of CO2 that enters the atmosphere. One such project is using limestone. Limestone is placed next to the combustion chamber of the power station, so that when gases and pollutants such as CO2 are released, it enters the small holes that are naturally present in the limestone. When all the holes are filled, the limestone can be removed and a new slab can be put in. So alternatively, instead of using limestone to start with, the gases that are released from burning the fossil fuels can be bubbled through seawater. In the seawater, they react with the natural chemicals to actually form limestone. This can then be utilised in the building trade as cement, and the resulting seawater just gets pumped back into the oceans. The benefits of these projects is that they're actually very low maintenance and require little effort. However, although they reduce the amount of CO2 that is produced from burning the fossil fuels entering the environment, they actually require 20% more energy for them to run, meaning that the power stations are going to have to actually burn more fossil fuel to be able to meet their current energy outputs. So, we know that we can turn carbon dioxide into limestone, but the other option is just to store it. So there are underground reservoirs, such as under land or under sea, that previously had oil in them, but CO2 produced from burning this oil can be repumped into these spaces. The main benefits of this is that the carbon dioxide isn't released into the atmosphere, but even though it's not in the atmosphere, it's still being produced at the same rate, it's just being stored underground.
That's expensive, but it certainly could be a price worth paying to stave off climate change. That said, a lot of our fossil fuel use is in, say, the transport sector, where carbon dioxide is freely emitted to the atmosphere. Then we need to look at methods of free air capture of carbon dioxide, where the gas is much less concentrated out in the atmosphere. So it costs us an even bigger energy penalty probably to capture it. And there are several ways we could do that, but we have to be willing to pay to do that.
these projects may sound exciting, but is it too late to prevent climate change?
Well, it's too late to avoid a certain amount of global warming. We've already got a degree of warming, and I think a degree and a half will be impossible to avoid. But beyond that, it's up to us, and it's about whether we reduce our carbon dioxide emissions from here on, or whether they continue to grow in an exponential fashion.